There were many epidemics. If you read any classical book of history, Tarikh al-Tabari, or much later Ibn Kathir wrote his book, or you have Yaqut al-Hamawi, Mu'jam al-Buldan, you have many different treatises and history books written. And you cannot read a book of history except that you'll come across a number of plagues. For example, in the year 218 Hijrah, a plague affected Egypt and not a single household was unaffected. In fact, it is said that all the governors and leaders and statesmen died in 218 Hijrah in Egypt. In 228, that plague reached Azerbaijan, and they said that so many people died that they ran out of cloth to cover the bodies, and they could not bury the dead. In Basra as well, in the year 406, the plagues became so deadly that the graveyards were full and the bodies were basically in the streets for a few weeks. It is said that in some cases the entire family passed away, and they would simply just close the house, and that would be their burial for many months until the plagues finished. In the year 448 Hijrah, another plague swept through some lands, including Egypt and Andalus. And because of this, Imam al-Dhahabi mentions in his Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, you can look this up, volume 18, page 311, for those who are interested, because this is a very interesting quote here. Imam al-Dhahabi says that وقع في مصر والأندلس قحط ووباء كبير. There was a plague and a famine in Andalus and Masr that people never had seen before. حتى بقيت المساجد مغلقة بلا مصل, until the masajid remained shut without anybody praying in them. So this is very explicit here. In the year 448 Hijrah, the plague was so severe and the famine was so severe that the masajid were shut and not a single musalli remained in certain areas and lands. And this is explicitly mentioned in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala and other books as well. And there are many other incidents as well, but I want to jump to now, of course, the infamous Black Plague, or the Black Death, that swept through the 8th century of the Hijrah, corresponding to the 14th century of the Gregorian calendar, and it swept through the Mediterranean and Andalusia, and it affected the entire globe. Of course, the epicenter was Europe, but it affected the entire globe. As I said, this plague, the bubonic plague or the Black Plague, it was the greatest plague that recorded history has ever seen. And once again, in a number of regions, the plague was so severe. Let me quote you from the famous historian Al-Maqrizi, who writes in his book As-Suluk, volume 4, page 88. And I give these references because, again, sometimes people doubt, like, oh my God, how can this be true? Look this up yourself.